The 13th COSCOM Association is a 501c3 tax-exempt private organization that exists to support the soldiers of the 13th Sustainment Command and its subordinate units in garrison and abroad. Founded in February 2005, the association accomplishes 5 primary missions to support the soldiers and families of the 13th ESC. Those missions are to be the veteran connection to soldiers who have served with and attached to the 13th Sustainment Command and its predecessor designations, the 13th Support Brigade, the 13th SUPCOM, the 13th COSCOM, and the 13th Sustainment Command, to maintain a memorial tribute to ESC fallen, to help educate the 13th Sustainment Command soldiers, families, and veterans, and to serve as a link between the 13th Sustainment Command and the surrounding and partner communities. The 13th Sustainment Command Expeditionary was constituted on August 1965 in the regular Army as the 13th Support Brigade and was activated at Fort Hood on September 24, 1965. On August 11, 1966, a specially designated shoulder sleeve insignia was approved for the command. The command evolved due to increased mission and changing roles, and, along with similar units, was redesignated as a Corps Support Command on June 21, 1975, and then the 13th Support Command Corps in October 16, 1980. The naming continued to evolve as the camp command was redesignated as the 13th Corps Support Command COSCOM on March 1, 1989, and was reorganized and redesignated as the 13th Support Command Corps on October 16, 2000. In the wake of wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, the command was reorganized as the first to restructure and deploy to combat as an Expeditionary Sustainment Command and redesignated as the 13th Sustainment Command Expeditionary on 16 February 2006. The history of the Lucky 13th, as it's been nicknamed, began as the nation's involvement in Vietnam was increasing. The 13th Support Brigade was formed and tasked with training technical service units to assume combat support missions in Southeast Asia. The 13th Support Brigade was a strategic Army force, STRAF, unit with a mission to provide a mobilization expansion base, a source of trained units, and replacements to support forces deployed overseas. STRAF units were a combat-ready element designated to serve as a ready available force for use wherever needed. The 13th Support Brigade soldiers were first deployed after the December 23, 1972 Managua, Nicaragua earthquake, where 5,000 were left dead, 20,000 injured, and over 250,000 people were left homeless. The 13th was to command and control the U.S. Army service and support forces, which were assisting in earthquake disaster relief from 23 December 1972 to 15 January 1973. They joined engineer and aviation units supporting U.S. Southern Command, with 13th Support Brigade establishing and running Camp Christine in Managua, Nicaragua. The command would not deploy again until 1993. However, units from 13th COSCOM deployed to Saudi Arabia to provide combat support and combat service support operations during Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm, and in follow-on operations Operation Desert Calm and Operation Provide Comfort. In 1992, 13 COSCOM units deployed to Cuba to aid Haitian refugees during Operation Safe Harbor and later assisted victims of Hurricane Andrew in Florida. 13th ESC soldiers led the way as 3 Corps units deployed to Kuwait to train and ensure the peace in support of Operation Intrinsic Action. In 1992, the U.S. Central Command established United Task Force Somalia in light of the worsening situation in Somalia, and the 13th COSCOM was charged with providing command and control for logistic support in theater during Operation Restore Hope. The major units that deployed with the 13th included the 593rd Support Group, the 36th Engineer Group, the 7th Transportation Group, and the 62nd Medical Group. Although composed entirely of United States Army units, JTF Support Command was not a part of Army Forces Somalia, but a separate functional element on an equal basis with the service components. 13th COSCOM Commander Brigadier General Billy K. Solomon deployed with the advanced party to oversee the buildup of the JTFSC. The headquarters would not return to Fort Hood until May 19, 1993. From October through December 1994, 13th COSCOM soldiers provided multifunctional sustainment support to Army forces supporting Operation Vigilant Warrior in Kuwait. Units of the 13th conducted humanitarian and peacekeeping missions in Cuba as part of Operation Sea Signal 5, Haiti Operation Uphold Democracy, Honduras Joint Task Force Bravo, Operation Strong Support, and were part of Stabilization Force 6 in Bosnia-Herzegovina. The 13th COSCOM also deployed their engineers to Thule, Greenland for additional support missions. Soldiers from the command have responded to the call to lend a hand, whether it was removing snow in Massachusetts, aiding flood victims in Louisiana, processing refugees in Arkansas, fighting forest fires in Montana, assisting earthquake victims in Mexico, or helping flood victims in Curio, Texas. Following the attacks of the World Trade Center and Pentagon, elements of the 13th COSCOM were called to support operations Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan and Iraqi Freedom, again, overseas. The 13th COSCOM units who deployed included the 1st Medical Brigade and the 64th Corps Support Group. In August 2003, the call came once again for the soldiers of the 13th COSCOM headquarters to participate in the ongoing operations in Iraq. The 13th COSCOM colors were cased on the afternoon of December 18, 2004 at Sadowski Field on Fort Hood, and they were uncased on January 31, 2004 in Balad, Iraq. The 13th completed a transfer of authority with the 3rd Corps Support Command at Life Support Area Anaconda and assumed command and control to provide sustainment support to Coalition Joint Task Force 7 in Iraq, later redesignated as Multinational Corps Iraq. Major units serving with the 13th COSCOM for OIF-2 were the Corps Distribution Command Provisional, the 172nd Corps Support Group, the 504th Parachute Infantry Regiment, the 81st Brigade Combat Team, Washington Army National Guard, the 593rd Corps Support Group, the 167th Corps Support Group, and the 300th Area Support Group. On December 12, 2004, the 13th Corps Support Command said farewell to LSA Anaconda as it transferred authority to the 1st Corps Support Command. During its time at LSA Anaconda, the 13th COSCOM processed over 2,000 tons of mail, averaged 200 convoys a day for a total of 62,000 convoys, involving 750,000 vehicles, and was responsible for quality of life improvements for the joint forces. The 13th uncased its colors at Fort Hood, Texas on 21 January 2005. Deep in the process of deploying and redeploying, key elements of the 13th COSCOM were called into action again in support of Joint Task Force Katrina and Rita with hurricane relief efforts in the summer of 2005. The 13th COSCOM provided 100 million rations, collected human remains with dignity, executed emergency engineering operations, transported, distributed, and stored over $1 billion in humanitarian relief from both non-governmental and federal sources from across the nation. In February 2006, the 13th COSCOM was reflagged as the 13th Sustainment Command Expeditionary in time to participate in its second deployment to Iraq. On July 12, 2006, the 13th ESC colors were cased in preparation for their deployment in support of OIF 0608, and the unit departed Fort Hood on August 22, 2006, where they participated in a number of campaigns, including a surge of forces. During rotation 0608, the 13th ESC had 7 subordinate brigades, with more than 30 battalions and over 20,000 soldiers providing sustainment support and security throughout the theater of operations. The brigades serving under the 13th ESC were the 1st Brigade Combat Team, 34th Infantry Division, the 15th Sustainment Brigade, 45th Sustainment Brigade, the 657th Area Support Group, the 164th Corps Support Group, the 593rd Sustainment Brigade, and the 82nd Sustainment Brigade. On August 8, 2007, the 13th Sustainment Command said farewell to LSA Anaconda for a second time when it transferred authority to the 316th Sustainment Command. During the rotation, the 13th pumped 584 million gallons of fuel, distributed 1 million cases of MREs, 3 billion gallons of bulk water, 28 million cases of bottled water, 16,000 tons of ice, 10,000 tons of ammunition, $2.2 billion in repair parts in support of coalition forces and 20 brigade combat teams, and drove 19.6 million miles. The 13th ESC uncased its colors on September 14, 2007. Upon its return from Iraq, the 13th Sustainment Command completed its transformation from a legacy COSCOM structure to the modular ESC structure through the realignment of the 2nd Chemical Battalion under the 48th Chemical Brigade and the inactivation of the former COSCOM Special Troops Battalion and the 4 Corps Material Management Center. The command's primary mission are to provide command and control of assigned, attached, and operational control units and to plan for and provide sustainment, supply, maintenance, and field services, distribution, healthcare support for full spectrum operations. The 13th ESC currently has a sustainment brigade that the command provides training, readiness, and oversight to on Fort Hood, the 4th Sustainment Brigade. The 4th Sustainment Brigade consists of the 4th Brigade Troops Battalion, the 553rd Combat Sustainment Support Battalion, the 180th Support Battalion, and the 49th Transportation Battalion Movement Control. Leveraging sustainment operations in CONUS, LSOC authorizes active component expeditionary sustainment commands in CONUS to support senior mission commanders, installation mission support elements, sustaining organizations, and sustainment staff officer efforts to resolve mentorship, training, and material management shortfalls in these formations caused by repeated deployments and the complexities of the echelons above brigade R4Gen process. LSOC does not change existing command and control or training and readiness authority relationships. Rather, it provides the 2 AC ESCs with coordinating authority. At Fort Hood, the 13th ESC provides sustainment support to all units on the installation, including the 1st Cavalry Division, the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment, the 36th Engineer Brigade, the 41st Fires Brigade, the 48th Chemical Brigade, the 69th Air Defense Artillery Brigade, the 89th Military Police Brigade, the 504th Battlefield Surveillance Brigade, and several other tenant organizations. Additionally, the ESC provides reinforcing support to the Fort Hood Director of Logistics.